Hey, it's Jang here from the friendly forums at ultimaterc.com, and this video is going to be about what's in this box. It is the Leopard 1/10 scale brushless motor system that's available at hobbyparts.com, hobbyparts with a Z, for less than 60 bucks. It includes the motor, speed control, and a little programming card. Now, some of the video footage that you're going to see was actually taken some months ago, and it's been mixed together a little bit to get an accurate representation of the experience that I've had with this system here. So if something looks a little bit out of order, don't worry, it probably is, but the story is going to make sense in the end, because I did have some problems with this system, and I will tell you about those in full. But first of all, I'm going to go ahead and open up the box and take a look at what's inside. Let's check it out. Here's what you get. It's a motor, speed control, programming card, quaint little programming card, and an instruction manual, which is really just one sheet of paper folded up. First of all, the motor. This is one of, come on, focus, there we go. This is one of those ribbed motors that has the really deep heatsink fins on it to make it look like it's the size of a 540 sized motor, but it's actually a 380 rotor and stator inside of this can. So it's going to run a little bit lower in power, actually a lot lower in power than a proper 540 size motor. But I've actually used this type of motor before from Hobby Wing, and they actually turned out a pretty good amount of power for their size and given what they are. Here's a speed control, a little bit of an interesting, kind of innovative design actually. I like how they constructed it. This case right here is actually aluminum. The whole thing is made of aluminum, and the circuit board's actually bolted in. And you've got a large heatsink going over the entire top face of it, followed by a fan. So lots of cooling available. Here for the connectors, we've got 3.5 millimeter banana or bullet style female connectors already put on, matches what's on the motor. And then over on the battery lead side, you have a Dean's compatible connector, which is also pre-installed, pre-soldered, has a heat shrink on it, so you're ready to take LiPo and brushless power. You're not trying to connect through a week-old Tamiya Molex style connector. Now the programming card, not a whole lot that you can do with it. You have reverse power and reverse disable, starting power, which is sort of your initial punch. You've got drag brake, and then you've got settings for the LVC. You don't even have the ability to change the timing with this programming card, so it's a very basic little thing. The instruction sheet, it's readable. You know, there's not a lot going on here, but then there's not a lot you can do with the system. It shows you just pretty much the basics, shows you how you should hook up a brushless system, just to make sure that you understand how the wiring goes if you're new to brushless. And then on the second page, they give you a little bit more detail about the programming. All right, let's go ahead and get this installed and see how it runs. Now, this is my Kyosho Ultima SCR two-wheel drive short course truck. And I did a little bit of experimentation before getting to this video here to figure out what was the correct gearing for this motor. And I got it right to where I feel like I'm getting the most power out of it without taking it to a temperature that I'm not comfortable with. And man, this thing has way more power than I expected. I actually set up some drag races with other drivers. One was driving with a proper 540 sized censored 10.5 turn racing motor, and it was almost a dead heat. Another was running a proper 540 sized Novak 8.5 turn censored racing motor. The timing set up, everything set up just right, equal trucks, and again, it was a very, very close race. So the amount of power that I was able to get out of this small little motor was just absolutely phenomenal. And again, I was running it right around the temperature where I normally like to run a brushless motor, around 160 degrees Fahrenheit, measured on the outside at the hottest point, which is normally well within the comfortable range. It's a little bit aggressive, but not too bad. Then disaster struck. The motor just stopped working altogether. It was still spinning, well, at least the magnets were still spinning, but the shaft was not. What happened was that the magnets actually debonded. They are glued normally, but they debonded from the shaft. And that is not something that you can easily fix. So I took out the motor, packed it up, sent it back to hobbyparts.com where I got it from, but unfortunately by that time they were completely out of stock, so it took a while to get my replacement back. By the time I did get that replacement, the track had changed, but that was actually a good thing because now I was on a nice, freshly prepared surface that was consistent, so I could have a good test. Now, during the time that I was waiting for the replacement motor to come in, I also was watching the bulletin boards and the forums for other people's feedback about this motor system, and I found that I was not the only person to have a rotor debond from the shaft. So it appears that this is a common problem. It's certainly not a freak little accident that I had with mine, and it's caused by just a poor type of adhesive that's used that's not strong enough. Right around 160 degrees Fahrenheit, pretty normal temperature, is where that is going to debond. So in the video clip that you're looking at now, I've actually re-geared the truck. I've gone down several teeth on the pinion to make sure that the motor is running between 140 and 150 degrees Fahrenheit, closer to the 140 degree mark. And here I'm actually doing the filming while driving, and that slows me down a little bit, but I'm still squeezing the throttle as hard as I can wherever I can, and I am getting good traction on the track here. However, I hope that you can see that the truck is just not as fast. It does not have that explosive power. It's not getting the front end light when it's under acceleration, and the top end is limited as well. I've really had to sacrifice performance in order to keep that motor within a safe range of temperature for it. It's a much lower temperature than I'm used to, and it's also much lower performance than I'm used to. So the moral of this story is you get what you pay for. It's not always the case, and I usually don't like to use that cliche saying a whole lot because it's often not the case. There are a lot of inexpensive products out there on the market, and there's more coming out all the time that are of very high quality and that work very well. For instance, in my short course truck here, I'm still using that speed control that came with this set, but I've swapped out the motor because the motor has really kind of disappointed me. I've swapped out the motor for a more powerful one from Tacon, T-A-C-O-N. Also got that from hobbyists.com, and that was a $22 motor, and it has been holding up very well. It's cheap and it's strong and seems to be of pretty good quality. So it's not always the case that you get what you pay for. Sometimes you get more, sometimes you get less. In the case of this 1/10 scale or 1/12 scale Leopard Hobby brushless motor system with the small finned motor, speed control has worked out just fine for me. The programming card was kind of tacky, kind of weak. The motor, major disappointment. Can't recommend this one. All in all, I think there are better ways to use your money. If you are absolutely on a very, very, very tight budget and you want to get brushless so that you don't have to worry about maintenance long term, and you do have the ability and the will to go through and tune your vehicle down using gearing so that it will not be drawing a lot of power so that your motor will be running cool, then this is an acceptable system to use. It will run, from my experience, it will run pretty much forever, and I've seen others do the same thing as well. It will run forever as long as you gear it down enough so you're not getting the full power out of the motor. You're not heating it up to the point where it will undo the bonds of the adhesive on that rotor inside. So that's it for my review of this Leopard 1/10 scale or 1/12 scale brushless motor system. Hope this has been useful for you, and I hope to see you on the friendly forums at ultimaterc.com. Talk to you again soon.